we are in Japan. Of course, round 7 of TNR, Project Cars 2. And joining me as always is Mr. Not Fernandes.
Not Fernandes.
My co-commentator's awake!
I love it. Do it just to annoy me, don't you?
You pay attention, yeah. That's what I want
right,
to check.
We're in Japan, That's right, we're in Japan for round 7. Not at Suzuka though, we're at Fuji Speedway. So an interesting circuit. Also an FIA Grade 1 circuit. It has hosted F1. Difficult circuit.
But that was also actually a short stint.
Yeah.
Hosting the F1.
It wasn't called the Japanese Grand Prix. It actually was on the calendar at the same time as the Japanese Grand Prix. So the Japanese Grand Prix was Suzuka towards the end of the year. And the Pacific Grand Prix was the 3rd or 4th race of the year.
And that, of course, goes back to a conversation we had a couple of races ago about several nations having more than one Grand Prix. As you said, Chen goes a bit sideways. There was some contact there. Of course, all the guys on outlaps at the moment, and Chen going back to the pits. So there might have been some damage there. Of course, just our conversation a few races ago, we talked about host nations who hosted more than one F1 race, but of course called something else. Like, of course, we spoke about it with Nürburgring. Because Nürburgring and, of course, Hockenheim, both of them are German. One was European, one was the German Grand Prix, of course.
And I mean, even at one stage, they called it because the European Grand Prix was in Jerez, in Spain. So the Nürburgring Grand Prix that year was called the Luxembourg Grand Prix, and it's not even in Luxembourg. Luxembourg's a different country in Europe. So, it's quite interesting that when they have two, there obviously one remains the official,
and one gets a different name.
And one gets a different name. You see it in MotoGP as well. Basically, all of the circuits, as in F1, are named after the country they're in. So you'll have your Malaysian Grand Prix, and you'll have your so on. But when you get to Spain, that is not the case. It's not called the Spanish Grand Prix. There's one Spanish Grand Prix, and then you get the Valencian Grand Prix, you get the Catalan Grand Prix, and you get the Aragon Grand Prix, which are all 4 in Spain. They're just the 4 major provinces of Spain. They each have their own race, and it's quite sad because you can fit Spain into South Africa a few times.
And of course, if you look at it as well, most common one is Catalonia. Of course, just for those of you who's been watching me while we're talking, of course you would have noticed Gavbeek, he's got the yellow colors, but of course it's not his trustworthy Renault tonight. He decided to substitute his Renault for a Lambo. Feeling a lot more comfortable.
Just trying something different late on in the season. He's been loyal to Renault up so far, but at least he's loyal to the yellow.
Feeling more comfy in the Lambo here. Because the Muna, who's MIA tonight, of course, another guy who don't mind doing Lambo, and yet he's actually been loyal to his Porsche. Also yellow.
Following Nismax around the track at the moment, has not set a lap time in the Audi again.
Big question tonight is there somebody on this grid tonight who can keep up with him, or is he just going to run away with this race?
Muna has been the strongest challenger. Championship has been between these two. He will obviously, by not being here, he will drop those points. So it's going to be a little difficult with 2 rounds to go. Well, 3, 8, 9 and 10. Going to drop 25 points today. Still 23 minutes remaining in the session. At this point in time, the AI topped the leaderboards. Am I wrong? I'm wrong. Raptor is topping our leaderboards with a 142.7.
and quite the 2 seconds. And I mean, Raptor is in that favorite car of Gavpeak in a nice purple livery. And Raptor, of course, joining us tonight for the first time, and there he goes, already 2 seconds up so early on. And as I say, there goes Nisbak's now 2 seconds faster than Raptor. Now Nisbak's getting up to
140.3. We know there's still 23 minutes remaining in the session. That just means he's going to get faster. He doesn't tend to show all of his pace early on. But that's a 140.3 for now, the benchmark. Something for the rest of them to aim for. Gavin out on track. His first run was 18 seconds off the pace, so obviously not going his way. Spending some time off track, having another go at it. Only man not to have set a lap time as of yet, the judge. He is on circuit.
Of course, he's also staying loyal to his yellow Porsche.
Was an out lap, so no, there we go. Judge goes second with a 141.7.
Wow, Judgy.
A nice time early on.
Nice to
Didn't
see.
have a lap time up until now, so that'll be a nice one. Get your first lap time, go up into second. Not too shabby.
Now the guy who didn't really do a competitive lap, if I can call it that, is Gavpeak. He's
man on your
12
screen at the
seconds
moment.
away, 12 seconds down from the last AI.
Go on board with him now as he goes over the start-finish line. Looking to improve on this current lap of a 158.4.
Nope, not this time round. I think it might have been a bit of an outlap there.
There we go, just registered a bit late there, but he's gone fastest, a 139.8.
And he's actually the first guy to go under 140 after he's been the slowest guy on track. Well done.
So that's just a shade under late. 5/10.
And he decides to go into the pits as he done that.
Nisbak's still out on circuit. Could have very well gone out for a 3 or 4 lap stint, maybe with a bit of heavy fuel. Car will obviously get faster as he goes on, as he drops some of that fuel. Could be a long stint. Let's see if he's trying to improve. Currently a 140.3.
Can we have Gavpeak then standing in for Muna tonight, giving Nisbak a bit of a hard time being in the front?
We know he's quick. We've seen it
quick.
all season
We've seen it
long.
Before. We had in a couple of races we had a freeway battle between him and Muna and Nisbak. So it's possible.
Just needs to keep it together and just needs a clearer form of communication between himself and whoever's running his pit crew. Because
Getting those
there
fuel
are a few fuel mishaps throughout the season.
and in good positions.
Nisbak now will go over the line looking to improve on this 140.3. Can he go faster? No, he doesn't.
Nope.
Stays there, 140.3, second for the time being. Current pole sitter is out on track. He'll be looking to improve, currently a 139.8. Go down to third, we have Chen. Doing a good job so far, 141.2.
Chen and Judge and Raptor quite close to each other. All over 141s.
3 drivers there in the 141s. Nisbak's the only driver in the 140s, and Gavin the only driver in the 139s. Go now to Connor Young.
Of course,
I believe
also
this
a
is
newcomer
his
tonight.
debut with TNR Racing. He joins us in round 7. Could have maybe picked an easier track to join, but
nonetheless, he's joined and he's going to give it a go.
we wish him all the best.
Get that confidence going. Nothing like a technical track to actually challenge you, to push you to get used to this.
Currently sitting in 9th with the 145.6. He hasn't had as much game time as some of the others, so I imagine he will only get faster with every lap he does.
Of course, every lap will be something new for him. Getting to know the car, the track, of course, where the grip is, all bit by bit.
Just losing the back end there a little bit. Most of your midfield sitting in the pits. Judge still out on track, trying to improve on that 141.7. Gonna stay there for the time being.
Chased, of course, by the guy at the moment in front of him, Chin, currently in third. Just running behind Judge at the moment.
Seems like Judge has caught up with an AI. That'll obviously just impede this lap a little bit. Now Devon going through on the inside.
So Chen diving on, all good there. Just now to negotiate with AI in front of him.
Right now with Gavin, your provisional pole sitter. 139.8, that's your benchmark. Nobody's been able to beat it as of yet. The only man in the 139s. Dirk still second. That 140.3, which he set much earlier on. Maybe going around now with some less fuel.
Of course, he set that time at that stage as the provisional pole time, just as it looked like the newcomers were actually going to show the oldies, as I can call it in that, how to do this. So Nesmac just basically restoring some honor for the older guys. And just shortly after that we saw Gavpeak taking that what we see now as the pole lap. But of course still 16 minutes to left.
Getting off the racing line and off the braking point. Let Nesmax and Gavin go through. They're both out on track. Riding line astern. Looking to improve on their times. Nesmax just keeps on getting that caution next to his name, so I think he's getting a bit close to the invalidated lap.
Just pushing the boundaries, of course. Of course, Connor, just coming back to Connor, any points he score will obviously be a big bonus. Like we said, this is all new to him. So he will just be out there to get to know the car and, of course, build confidence and getting to know more about the game. Going to future races, of course, you will have a better opportunity.
Obviously, points are on offer tonight. Don't have our full grid with us. So if you finish, and you will get points. Obviously, the AI do not take any points. So you will be promoted. And obviously, potentially quite a handful of points for the debutant if you can bring it home. Got another 15 minutes.
And Gav now with a penalty.
Gavin now getting a penalty.
And if Nismac see that, he will slow down because that will ultimately promote him to pole because both of them are actually now in the 139s. A 10th splitting the two at the moment. Yep, Gavin, that will promote Nismac to pole.
Just to confirm, one grid place penalty, so there's nothing Gavin can do to hold on to that pole position. And Nismac just needs to stay in second. He did improve on his time though, we didn't see that.
Yeah, no, that's what I said. It's just a 10th. Just a 10th between the two now.
139.9. So just the two of them in the 139s. Sure, if Muna is watching the stream, I'm sure he'd be up there in the 139s too. I'm sure it's he's probably not watching. If he's watching, he'd probably be saying, I can go faster.
Most probably. Of course, you did say about warning lights there next to Nismac. Of course, he must just be careful now not to push that too far. And then he will sit in the same position as Gavin. They both actually will then drop a place down. That will promote the likes of Chen and the judge.
That's right. That would be an interesting
Hey, that will be an awesome
start
start.
to the Fiji race here. If we had a pole position 10 judge on second, could be an interesting front row.
But pullaway will be, and Nesmax actually now goes fastest, 1:59.6. From
So
1/10
he's not
slower.
going to rely on that penalty.
No, he's doing it on track. From 1/10 slower, he's now 1/10 faster.
So he found.
And he
Probably
immediately
2.5 tenths.
dives into the pits, making sure that he doesn't do anything wrong to give that away.
Judge still going around. He's had a lot of track time in this session. So getting in all the track time he can. Doing a good job so far, 4th place. We know he's the type of guy that can bring a car home. He can start and keep that position throughout the race. I think he'd be happy with that. Doing a great job so far.
He's one of the more experienced guys when it comes to endurance racing. Obviously, like you say, bring a car home. He knows for a long game, don't worry about that first corner, it's about bringing the car home.
The Renault team hasn't been completely abandoned. They're now doing the job for Raptor.
But Raptor showing
around in 5th.
But Raptor clearly showing Renault's mood now with Gav Big leaving him. They're clearly frustrated.
You wouldn't be making a color reference.
Imagine if they could have had both of them, but of course Gav Peak feeling a lot more confident in that Lambo tonight. Of course,
Devin currently a 143.4, he's in 7th. Connor Young in 8th, managed to get out of 9th, so improved a position.
So with that also, all 8 runners, all the top 8 is all human players with the bottom part of the grid, all AI.
And that's exactly what we want to see. Hopefully that's the way it goes in the race, and the guys don't get...
Just missing that break point.
Connor Young, earlier on in the session, I was looking at his time and he was in 9th. He was 5 seconds off the pace. And I said he would get better, just with track time, the more laps he does. And he's already found a second out of that time. So I think with this round and the 3 rounds that remain after it, I think he will only pick up speed going into the next season. See, it's a game that requires a lot of practice.
Correct.
And patience, which isn't my favorite thing.
I think most of the people have a problem with that.
And given it a try, but just makes me respect these guys out on track a whole lot more. So I know how difficult this really is.
But again, it speaks to what we said as well before. You're comfortable to do a 100% race F1 because you got a lap counter. I think it's all about the mindset, the lap counter. If you think about a 100% race versus a 1.5 hour endurance race, it pretty much comes down to the same time on track. Only difference is you have a lap counter counting down. Yeah, you got a clock counting down, and yet with F1 in the back end is anyway also a clock. So it still comes down to a bit of endurance. It's just, of course, how it's perceived differently.
Well, back when we did the 100% with the full qualifying over on Friday nights, that if you take the full qualifying and the 100%, it's actually longer than
correct
the format we're running at the moment. The format we're running at the moment is 2 hours. Give or take a bit of extra time in the lobby and setting up the cars before the race, but it's about 2 hours. Whereas I've done 100% commentary streams that were almost 3 hours long. And it really depends on the track, the weather conditions. If you've ever had to commentate on a wet Belgium, 100%, enjoy. I did that with no co-commentator.
No, early days.
Trust me, Johan, I wish you were there.
I can imagine.
Oh boy.
And I think
there were gaps of 50 seconds everywhere.
I think I recall that race because there was also a lot of casualties. Of course, Aruch took the most of him.
See, we have some corners around this circuit that may sound familiar to Suzuka. I have a corner around the circuit called 300R. That's right. Of course, yeah, and 100R. So they really like just calling their corners, just throwing a number and an R at the end of it.
I mean, because Suzuka 130R.
Yeah, you've got the 100R and the 300R.
And Suzuka 130R.
At least these corners, some of these corners still have names. Most
Some
of our new circuits
just got numbers,
literally have no names. It's just turn 1, turn 2, turn 3.
Correct. Of course, if you go to Monza, it's just the names. It's synonymous with Monza. I mean, Ascari, Parabolica. Everybody knows what you're talking about.
It happens that a lot of these newer tracks, Sochi, Abu Dhabi, all of these tracks really came up in a matter of a decade and a half, all of them, and they're all new and similar, and obviously don't have history yet. And a lot of your corners, their names have something to do with history. The tracks just haven't been there long enough to gain that history. So you just get a bunch of numbers around the track.
Think about Abu Dhabi, that one corner. Sebastian Vettel at the time, of course, that was the year he won the championship, but actually got taken out, not by a fault of his own, but obviously he retired there, early in the race. Luckily did enough for the season to clinch the championship. I mean, if you think about it going forward, they can call that corner ultimately the Sebastian Vettel corner or Vettel corner. You never know. Like you say, we must just it's still early, history speaks to it. So, I can see going down, further down, those corners can ultimately have names.
Actually, over here in South Africa, in Midrand, Kyalami, they took a very different route to what's happening around the world, where tracks are selling and even soccer stadiums, rugby stadiums, are selling their naming rights, to the corners and stuff like that. And Kyalami obviously had most of their corners named after a sponsor, as in turn 1 was the Pennzoil corner. When Kyalami was rebuilt, all of those corners were basically renamed to the corners' names that they were in the 60s, 70s and 80s. So turn 1 at Kyalami is now again called Crowthorne. And anyone from that era knew it as Crowthorne, and they've brought those names back, and I think that's pretty awesome.
Of course, you talk about sponsors and so forth. I mean, you had with one section, stadium, everything, with all the Westbank branding.
Oh yes.
Because like you said, it's all spoke to the sponsors. But yeah, now going back in history, and we got those old corner names back.
We'll be there in about a month. Just watching the Kyalami 9 hour.
Now less than a month, of course, and it's again also GT3 cars.
Watching some of these in real life, going around South Africa's home of motorsport
for 9 hours non-stop. Blank by 9 hours.
I'm sure we'll be able to hear them. I don't know how much we're gonna see. I hope things don't get too crazy.
And some of the guys are not the tallest. I hope they can look over the barriers. Like certain midgets who refer to each other as midgets all the time.
I'll just say he's on screen, but I won't mention his name.
One of them.
Another man on screen now that will be also interesting at the Kyalami 9 hour.
The first one you showed just now, I can imagine if you watch the stream what his phrase will be to us. Of course, made that phrase uniquely his own, so obviously we know exactly what he's going to say.
just can't repeat that here.
No,
you don't always know who's watching.
just over, well, now 3.5 minutes to go, when this quali/practice session will be something of the past.
Devon's still going around in 8th place.
Of course, in that
means that Connor Young. Have you seen that lap from Connor Young? That's a 1:41.1.
It's only 1.4 now, of never mind 4 seconds, another 3 seconds where he actually
he's
gained
0.02 of a second slower than the judge. And I think he'll be happy with this result.
Yeah, massive. And that was actually quicker than what anticipated.
If he can find just a couple of thousandths, he will go 4th. Doesn't need to find a lot of time.
Forget about a couple of thousand. If you can do a couple of tens, that will even be much better. Okay, coming in the pits now, because that will mean the end of his session. I think he will go to do another session, another lap.
Don't think he's gonna get another run. If he wanted to get another run, he should have jumped into the pits using the menu. Might have been able to sneak another one through, but good performance nonetheless. 5th.
Definitely.
The judge also in the pits in 4th, Chen 3rd. Everyone in the pits. Nurse your provisional pole sitter. The only man there in the top 5 out on circuit is Gavin.
And
in his
Chen
yellow
also,
Lamborghini.
And Chen went out as Connor came in.
I wonder if he's aware of his 1 grid place penalty, or is he out there trying to prove a point? Or I wonder if he's not aware. That would just be cruel. If he had to go out there and beat that 139.6, I need to find out if he had a grid penalty.
Okay.
That would just hurt.
He will be upset with himself.
Chen is out on circuit.
Surprisingly how close the numbers are on his car and on the judge's car. Him 75, judge got 76 on his car.
Connor also out on circuit, so a lot of guys did go out. I don't know if they're going to be able to get around. They might be disappointed. Might not get that final run in.
Of course, just now under a minute left. Of course, if they already crossed the start-finish line, they will still get another one in, like Gav Peak. He will be safe. He will definitely be able to go through to do another lap. I say, he's really enjoying himself tonight in that Lambo, and they actually decides, nah. Ooh, Connor goes wide. He did actually go out, but I don't think it's enough. No, he's only going to come around now. He's in the last section. No, he's not going to get another lap in.
Got 10 seconds remaining on the clock, so he's not going to be able to get over the line.
Only around the final corner now.
3 seconds to go. Yep, that start-finish line is far down the straight, so he's just not going to make it.
And he's diving into the pits as well.
And that's the end of qualifying practically. Let's have a look who's still out on circuit. Raptor is out there. He goes over the line, wasn't able to improve. He's 6th. Devon is in the pits, obviously happy with his lap time. Just wait for things to wrap up. Seems like all the human drivers are in the pits. We just have Raptor out on circuit by himself.
But of course he finished that lap after the checkered flag came down.
Obviously just the one driver picking up a penalty. That's Gavin. That was a 1 grid place penalty, so Chen will be promoted to the front row. He will start alongside Nismax.
Okay,
and there we go. Qualifying session is over. Let's just read you your results. Your top 3, Nismax taking pole with a 139.6. Then you've got Gavin in second. Obviously, he'll start in third. Then Chen, he will start in second. Judge in fourth. Connor Young fifth. Raptor sixth. Toki 76 in seventh. Devon eighth. And those are your human drivers. And then obviously AI making up the positions from 9 to 15th. So that's 6 AI cars. And the guys here at the start, they'll want to be careful. You don't want to fall back into that pack of AI.
No, definitely not.
You don't want to fall back into that AI and pick up damage.
Of course, now it's just for them to do their final race strategies. Of course, select the right fuel load, etc. And of course, importantly, not to hit return to race central.
Please
and of course,
do
hit
not
the
do
ready
that.
button. And hit the ready button in time.
It's happened too many times this season with too many people. But it's actually a silly concept.
Yes.
So I've done it myself in round 1 and in round 4. You know, you're just looking at the screen and you're like, okay, the screen's been here for quite some time, and you're like, you hit something and it goes race central, and you're like, because the one you started commentating and I was looking at a blank screen and I was like, oh. So yeah.
Yeah, but in that case, if you look at these online lobbies, they had still their codemasters did well with F1. Because if you look at this type of nitty-gritties and also being able to come back and reclaim your vehicle after you disconnected. So there's still F1 is miles ahead compared to some of the others. But of course, a lot of them improving, so we'll see with newer versions coming, hopefully, how it will be.
Obviously, having played over various motorsport games online, you'll find that some of them have a benefit here or there that you'll say, why doesn't this game do this? And
Correct.
it just seems like they all have their pros and cons. Formula One has its issues, but when it comes to online stability, I'd say it keeps it simple, really.
Yes. Of course, you can't have everything, because imagine you had one game who had all of that. Of course, everyone else would
your screen
would
still
just
says waiting. Just want to confirm, are we looking at the same thing? Your screen just says waiting.
Correct.
Okay,
He's still waiting. Just waiting for all those guys to ready up, just to make sure that they don't hit the wrong selection and then miss the race.
I have a few questions about that AI driver in 9th though. How is Tim Lewis Italian?
That sounds so British.
And, oh my word, if there wasn't enough South Africans in this lobby, we have a South African AI.
Philip Dufour.
Philip Dufour.
Which sounds more French than South African.
Then we have 2 French. Don't know if I know any French people by the name of Pedro Rodriguez. That's pretty Portuguese with the S at the end of it.
I was just about to say more Portuguese or Mexican, but not French.
Basically the difference there is if it ends in a Z, it's Spanish, and if it ends in an S, it's Portuguese. Just weird.
South African AI, funny.
Don't know where it got that. Quite random.
And I see Connor is actually British tonight, and the judge is German.
While we're online, while we're waiting for these guys, Brad Binder obviously got signed today.
Yeah, MotoGP, KTM next year.
And it was believed he was going to MotoGP, and that he was going to KTM Tech 3, which is basically KTM's Toro Rosso team. And he was going to partner Miguel Oliveira. Then obviously Zarco parted ways with KTM. They offered the ride to Miguel Oliveira, who turned it down, saying that he wanted more time with this bike. He wanted to stay put for now. And so they offered it to the next one in line, Brad Binder, and he took it. So not only is he stepping up into MotoGP, he'll be stepping up into MotoGP into a factory ride. And
The factory bike.
He's doing it at just the right time. KTM have been struggling. They've been in the top class for a while, and they've been battling. But now that Binder coming into MotoGP, they've actually dropped their entire Moto2 program to concentrate on MotoGP. So Binder will obviously be taking a lot of familiar faces with him.
Because so far we still got all 15 AI and human players all included. Just still waiting for them to finalize. Of course the clock shows 1:28, but I assure you once we're all ready and this race starts, that will reset to 1.5.
We're looking at a front view of the entire field, and it just confirms there that grid place penalty. Gavin in third. Even if he had beaten the lap later on in the session there, it probably would have just hurt even more. Would have started in second.
Here we go.
There we go. Looks like we're going to be underway shortly.
Here we go, racing team. 4 seconds to go. 3, 2, 1. And off we go. Oh, Judge actually had a very good start. Nesmac still keeping in front. Yeah, Chen got passed by the Judge. He's alongside there. He's actually ahead of. And he's actually going to dive on the inside of Nesmac. The Judge is actually in the lead. Judge all the way from 4th place into the lead, into the first corner. What an awesome start by the Judge.
Judge leads now.
Chen
as
in
we
front
go
of
around
Gaffik.
on the first lap. This is a really good start.
Raptor actually having a battle there with Gaffik. Connor actually now up to 4th as well. Also keeping his cool there on the start. Now Toki actually back in
for a very interesting start to the race.
Connor actually making a mistake. Connor now at the back of a grid. I think he ran wide. Cost him a good couple of places because Toki now in 4th and Devon in 6th. In 5th, I beg your pardon, behind Chin, Nesmax and the Judge. We didn't expect this. The Judge actually battling with Nesmax in front. Well, this is, oh, Gaffik is actually facing the wrong way. That's also going to cost him. Gaffik dropping down.
There Let's have a look at where is Gavin. Gavin is in 14th. He's just ahead of Connor Young. And they're running around in 14th and 15th. Obviously not having these starts they would have wanted. Gavin was up front, but made a mistake. Now Nesmax goes through on the inside.
Just running wide there, actually opening the door perfectly, but now trying to stay with Nesmax right on the back end, getting some slipstream. Is he going to dive on the inside here at the last possible moment? Yes, he is. Can he make it? Can he do it again?
Inside again?
He's alongside him. He's got the inside line. He's going to do it again.
Doesn't want to run wide on the exit. Just control the exit.
He does, but Nesmax see the gap on the inside. Take the inside line.
He holds it around the outside.
Both of them with some good traction out of there, but the Judge is actually going to stay in front for a better line on the outside.
Fighting for the lead at the moment. He's not letting this lead go.
The Judge feeling racy here tonight.
Not letting Nesmax intimidate him in the mirrors. Chen started in 2nd. He's currently in 3rd. Not able to, or maybe just staying away from the leaders. Maybe doesn't want to get involved in that. A lot of side-by-side action. Going further back, then we have Devon in 5th.
Chasing down top T76, trying to keep up with him.
Gavin now slowly but surely starts to make up positions. He goes up into 12th place. I think we've lost Connor.
Yes, I was just about to say that we did lost Connor. We're only down to 14 runners now. Connor is MIA.
Connor has unfortunately left the session in his debut race. Was going around in 15th. Obviously not the start he would have wanted. But having some issues there.
Hey, and the Judge actually managed to stay in front here, coming out of the last corner, coming to the downstraight. But this time, Nesmac should have a slipstream. Can he now do what Judge did on him twice before? And answer is no. He's too far back.
Seems like he can keep the distance. Doing a good job.
But that Porsche seems faster.
He's doing a great job there and still leading the race. This is now the start of lap 3. And I've seen a similar scenario in another league. It was actually an F1 based league where the judge got a good start. He got up into 5th or 6th position, and he just stayed there. He defended really well, and it really made things interesting because the Nismac, like in this case, Nismacs can't get away, you know.
And Chen on the pits, which promotes Stocky to 3rd and Devon to 4th. Of course, Nismax, just like previous races, battling with a Porsche, just not the Porsche that we used to, and he's actually going to go
again.
Judge keeping his car on the inside again, but this one will outline, I think, a bit too cautious and actually letting Nismax go, and that is enough for Nismax to pull a bit of a gap. So surely that should be enough to get his nose now in front and keep it in front. Oh, and Devon goes
Whereas
slow,
Gavin's done a good job. He's come through that AI. He's back up into 7th. Got another 2 AI between him and his next human counterpart. You'll want to brush these guys aside as
and he's, of course,
easily as possible.
He's got an AI between him and Raptor as well.
Raptor down in 9th for Renault, getting passed by a Renault. So those two fighting it out. Go back up to the front and see how Nismax is doing now, opening a gap. 0.8 of a second the gap at the front.
Chen actually being lapped now. Yeah, on lap 4. Because Silivato's damaged a long stop, which would have put him that far back.
These stops in endurance racing can go well over a minute, and depending on the damage, could be even longer.
Correct.
Right on board with your leader.
Now 2 seconds ahead of the judge.
This is where he got the better of the judge. He's got the better traction out of the corner, as judge was being a little bit too careful. Speaking of the judge, still doing a good job in 2nd place.
Ooh,
now just running a little bit wide. Needs to keep calm. Get his head down again. He had Nismax rattling him. Now he's got a good gap between him and 3rd place. Just needs to keep that gap open. And obviously that Porsche has shown some pace. Saw Nismax struggle to get past him on the straight, even with the slipstream.
But now that Nismax got past him, now he's actually opening up that gap and he's getting away from him. 3 seconds.
Let's just bring up a timing screen on lap 5. There you can see the difference on the last lap. Nismax getting by. He said a 141.7. Judge on that last lap a 143.9. But judging by the rest of the times, if he can maintain that sort of pace, he can maintain that position. Just needs to keep doing what he's doing. Gavin on that last lap 5th, obviously struggling with the AI. You can see that a 145.7.
But
so
importantly, he's now ahead of AI, so he will now be behind the human drivers.
He's now behind Devon with a gap of 15 seconds. So he'll have some clean air for quite some time now. He'll probably be quite relieved coming through from 14th position.
Ooh, runs a bit wide into that corner there.
Not getting the braking spot on. As Max continues to open the gap at the front. That gap now 3.7 seconds, briefly at the 4-second mark. So now he's starting to get away now at the front. Gavin now in the... I think that was just the camera angle, but it looked like he was in the gravel. But clearly not.
And Devon now coming into the pits. Oh, goes a bit wide there, coming in hard. Looks like he
Wasn't quite
able to
sure
slow it
there
down.
if he was having second thoughts about the pit stop.
Yes.
But decided to come in anyway. His pit crew's ready for him. Doesn't seem to have any damage on that car, so unless he's putting in a lot of fuel, shouldn't be a long pit stop. He's obviously going to fall down the field and come out amongst the AI.
Perhaps changing the strategy around, never knows. Because no damage to show that it's a possible he must stop because of damage, but like you say, the car looks in a good condition still. Of course, sun now starting to set here.
He's still in the pits, 13th. Chen running around 14th. So he might come out pretty close. Maybe those two will have a battle of their own. Judge holding his own for the time being. He's in second place and pulling away from third.
Just a little, but importantly he's ahead of him.
There's no concern in his mirrors for the time being.
No, Kostoki's not right on the back of that bumper. Devon's still in the pits. Looks like he's going to lose that position to Chen, so that has to be damage.
Gavin up into 4th place as a result of those pit stops. Got now a 19-second gap of free air in front of him. Just needs to really get some fast laps down, needs to get his head down. And maybe through the pit stops he'll be able to get that podium back.
Just keep his head clear and of course just stay focused, it's possible. Only
Obviously,
9 seconds behind Toki.
We will have a look later on in the race, briefly, at the fuel loads, just to get an idea, but for the time being, don't know what any of these riders are running. Some of them could have filled up at the start in order to have shorter pit stops. Some of them could have gone with very light fuel load in the beginning.
Judge still holding his own way.
Now the lights of the cars beginning to take more of an effect as it begins to darken here around the Fuji Speedway. Quite an impressive track to visit. Japan's just a little bit far for me. But yeah, really it's one of those. It's just like Newlands as a cricket ground. This track is its environment and what it looks like, it's too pretty to be a racing track.
And Judge now finally switching on lights and Toki just showing him his way, flashing him some lights. But it's not going to help. You need to actually have a speed to make sure you can pass the guy. You're not going to get past him by flashing your lights. But Judge does go wide and Toki will sneak on the inside. I don't know if that was part of Toki's plan. Flashing him lights and then distracting him. But Judge did run wide.
Could have very well been the case. He's now up into second place and he will start to attempt that 8.5 second gap that Nismax has cleared out in front. This race has come back into Gavin's hands. He is in 4th place.
And he took some time
just
out
17 seconds off the podium. So things could still swing back his way.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he had that big mistake at the beginning. Renault driver, human Renault driver tonight. Raptor. Usually Gavin in one of these, a yellow one.
Raptor of course running in 5th. Not bad also for his first race with us.
These are guys that when they perform like this, you know they're just going to get better. As the season continues, they will obviously practice for every race, and the more time they spend out on track, they're just going to get faster and faster.
Definitely, and you can already
not
see
doing a bad job.
Raptor.
I'd be thrilled if I was riding around in 5th on debut. I'd be thrilled.
Definitely
doing a good job.
Chin Devon still covering up rear of a grid.
We'll also see him tomorrow night in your other commentary.
Correct.
Stint.
On the F1 stream, where you can shout Raptor. Which car I don't know, because obviously as reserve driver you have to wait till all the other guys choose their cars, and whatever's available you driving.
Follow Nismax now in the lead. That gap not coming down.
No, 10 seconds.
In fact, it's increasing.
Bit of a lonely gap there.
He's had a few of these races. We've seen a few of these races, in fact, where he rides off into the distance in the night and just disappears, has his own, I don't know, maybe it's relaxing for him, just has his own drive. Judge still holding his own in 3rd place, holding on to that podium. Gavin hasn't been able to make too many inroads.
No, actually he dropped off a bit.
That gap 19 seconds, so I wonder if he maybe just went off track a little bit or something like that. Because continuing to drop time, now 20 seconds. He obviously lost speed somewhere. Fortunately we didn't get it on screen.
And Nismax now still another 2 seconds ahead of Toki there. So everything is going his way. It's still just under an hour and 15 minutes to left. Of course, just with all the settings fine-tuned, there will be no rain. Because the decision was made to make sure that the remaining races are all clear. I think after 2 monsoons in a row, I think the guys are had it with rain.
I think they've been getting it on even games beyond this one, so it does get a bit much. 10 now in 14th. He's running around behind Devon. So the two human drivers...
Oh, and he goes really wide. Oh,
two human drivers at the back. Preparing to have a battle of their own. Obviously running around in 13th and 14th, but
and Toki,
still worth it.
And Toki and the judge now actually chasing them down to lap him.
I think they will be, if the race were to finish, I think they'd take home points for 6th and 7th, if I'm not mistaken. So still definitely worth it finishing this race.
Definitely, stay patient.
So an hour,
hour and 12
minutes to go.
Although if you like rage quitting is not worth it. Stay there for the point.
Gap at the front continues to grow now, 16 seconds. Let's just have a peek at the timing screens, if I can bring those up. There we go. Nismax on that last lap, a 141.7, and that's just 1,000th of a second slower than his best lap, which was a 141.699. How's that for consistency?
But definitely keeping it constant with that pace. And that's actually how he's been managing to pull away from everybody.
On that last lap, your man in second, 144.9. So that's 2.2 seconds off the pace of Nismax. That's where that jump in the gap came from.
And that gap
Judge
between
holding
Nismax
his own, 144.8.
That gap between Toki and Nismax just keep growing. Now 15 seconds.
Judge still holding on. He hasn't given up on second place just yet.
Definitely not. No.
And
Toki not getting away from it.
Actually having a bit of a comeback here. This gap is just 1.5 seconds. And any little mistake, he's going to be right on the bumper of that car.
Definitely.
Just needs to clear those little mistakes out of his head and have another go at it. Don't let those things bother you. You start driving angry, and that's where the mistakes come.
That's it, because once
So
you
keep cool.
rage, you do stupid things.
Keep cool. Forget about what happened 2 corners ago and figure out what you're going to do next. Doing a good job. Look at that, the gap now under a second. We've seen that Porsche earlier on
now
with Nismax really able to capitalize on the... He can really capitalize on the slipstream down the straight, and just notice that Porsche gets... We saw him pass Nismax twice, obviously off the start, and...
Oh, Toki makes a mistake and he goes sideways. That is gonna yeah, and that's also gonna let gap peek through. Looks like Chen's car's also got some damage here coming through with Chen also got damage. Toki now obviously dropping down to 4th, gap peek also through. So gap peek's got his, but gap peek actually now right with the judge. Now
Not
the question
far
is
beyond the judge, 7/10 of a second.
2 questions: can he get past the judge, and if he does, will he be able to chase after Nismax, who's now pretty much 20 seconds ahead of him?
This could turn out to be one hell of a battle. Got a guy who, when he can sew the corners together, he can be a really good defensive driver. We saw that in the beginning of the race. And, you know, Gavin is extremely quick. So I think if he's just patient here, and he waits for the mistake. We've seen prior to this that every now and then there is that little mistake by the judge, and I don't think he's going to catch him on the straight though. It seems like the Porsche can hold its own. Slipstream or not, he thought of going up the inside, but it was just nowhere near.
Oh, it's going to go wide. He's actually giving it on a plat here for the peak, but actually he's going to keep his line. He's not going to give up fighting.
Let's go trackside so we can get a better view. They'll go through the corner now. Look at that. He goes around the outside. He does
go around the outside. Small mistake there from the judge into that first corner, running wide, giving Gavpik that axle line, which resulted in him passing him.
Obviously, the 2 fastest men in qualifying were Nismax and Gavin. They didn't start that way because Gavin had a penalty. Started in 3rd and then had an early shunt, had to make a pit stop. But he's come through all the AI and all the human drivers. He's up into 2nd, but that gap to Nismax, it's a big one.
That is a big one.
It's 20 seconds before, well, by the time he neutralized his race, Nismax had got 20 seconds up the road. 22.5 in fact, so that continues to grow. Let's see what happens now, as Gavin's going to have a few laps with clear air. And just mount those lap times down. He's got a gap now to the judge of 1.6 seconds, so he's getting away a bit. This is where that Porsche is at its strongest, but now that gap just a little bit too far for him to really make any headway. Ooh, judge makes a mistake, runs wide, misses his braking point, comes back on the track, but
now the mistakes are creeping in, which is actually costing him, going backwards with all of those mistakes.
Like I say, clear your head, forget about it, keep on going. You've been practicing, you know this track. If he does that, he'll be able to bring home a very impressive 3rd place. Obviously, we're talking very, very early on in this race. We're still in the first third of this race. Still over an hour to go. It's really who can last the distance. Who can not have that lapse of concentration the time being it is Nismax up front. Gavin has been able to consolidate that a little bit, just bringing it down by half a second or so. Let's have a look now, once he's had a clean lap, what sort of lap times he's doing. Let's just wait for him to go over the line.
Is his best. Not far off.
So Nismax on that last lap, that was a 1:42.0. Wait for Gavin to go over the line, see what he recorded on that last lap. So 1:42.0. So these two very close in pace, but unfortunately they're not close together on track. And Nismax able to match Gavin's pace, so it's going to be really difficult to close that gap. Unless really they're on very different strategies, I guess.
Of course, that
don't know who's running what fuel, and that can change everything. Could explain why someone is slower, could explain why someone is faster, and then obviously it's going to mean a lot in the pit stops. Short pit stop versus something where you could lose a minute. Porsche holding on to third. Another Porsche down in fourth. Still going strong.
Of course, recovering
holding on to
from
that
this
position
Porsche now.
Currently 12 seconds off the podium spot. Judge holding on to that. We ride with Raptor currently in 10th. We see he does have a penalty.
Correct.
Let's just bring up the timing screen so we can see what that is. Oh, it's a big one.
50 seconds.
Raptor's got a 50-second penalty. That's just under a minute. That's a big one.
That's huge. That's very huge.
While we've got this up, let's just have a look. 10, not as big, but also bigger than expected. 10 seconds. Usually we see penalties of a second or two. So 10 seconds and 50 seconds. Another man we haven't mentioned too much in this race. He's sort of gone invisible on my screen. It's Devin. He's in 13th. Sorry about that, Devin. Haven't given you much coverage there. Feeling like a bit of a Carlos Sainz.
Staying now in 13th. Of course, had to stop as well. A bit of damage.
See if things were to finish as they were, just reminding you that 13th would be the equivalent of 6th, I think. And then obviously with that huge penalty of Raptor, I'm sure you would surpass him. Just those two with the penalties so far. Couple of cautions popping up here and there. Nismax now among the AI. Time to lap them. Hopefully he doesn't have any close encounters. Coming up now behind a Renault. With a colour scheme it's really close to his own. Almost the reverse. Hey, you see, he gets past, but I just don't think the AI makes it easy.
No.
I mean, he really stayed side by side there for a long time, and for what?
AI for you, being stupid.
They really don't make it easy, and all you need from the human driver is to just to make contact, make a mistake on the wheel or on the controller and make contact, and there you go, you could have damage and that 20-second gap could come to nothing.
Correct.
So just got to be really careful getting around these AI, and obviously showing some patience when you see they looking a bit racy. Just use some extra caution. They don't exactly read our rule books. Gavin holding that position, 20 seconds the gap. Judge still third. Second portion of the lineup, still holding on to fourth place. Gap not really moving. 14 seconds between him and a podium. Raptor in ninth, but that penalty, I really can't work out where he'd finish at this point. It's a big penalty, just under a minute, 50 seconds. And Devon 13th. And Chen 14th. He's been in the pits, I don't think it's supposed to look that bad.
Nope, but I saw earlier he's got some damage showing.
See what I mean? That gap at the front, just stagnant. Gavin puts in a fast lap, closes the gap a little bit. Nismax responds.
But just
gap goes back up to 21 seconds. It's just sitting there ever since Gavin was able to get up into second. Nismax just holding the position. Either they're both giving it everything and they're evenly matched, or Nismax is only doing what he has to. Because that gap closes slightly, 19 seconds, and then back up to 21, sort of like he's responding. As soon as it hits the 20-second mark, he sort of responds and puts in something faster. In that last lap, Gavin was the faster man at 142.4. Nismax 143.9. That does not show in the timing sheet. Gavin now, that gap getting slightly bigger than it's been. 23.5 seconds. Pretty safe from falling back to this man. He's been able to open a 10-second gap to the judge. We've just passed the half-hour mark. It's 1.5 hour race. As things stand, Nismax leads the race.
And will extend the championship as well.
Leads the race from Gavin. The judge having a fantastic race in third place. Either he has done a lot of preparation or he really loves this track. In fact, started in fourth. Had a brilliant start, one of the best starts I've seen this season from anyone. Coming up from fourth, taking the lead into turn one. Then went on to hold that lead for a good 5 or 6 laps. And then obviously held on to second for a while. Lost it to Toki, regained it when Toki made a mistake. And then giving up that second place to Gavin, who eventually got through. But Gavin just got superior pace tonight. He's really got the pace of Nismax. They're able to match each other. That's why we can't see that time deviate. It's just been in this range for what seems like a really long time. They're just matching each other.
Come, judgy. Flower, show us some lights here. Nope.
One who usually listens to our commentary, leading the race. If he's listening, he usually gives us a flick.
Ooh. Going wide there.
Coming up to lap Raptor. See, a human driver shouldn't have too many problems there. Probably a lot easier to lap than an AI. And if Raptor knows he has that 50-second penalty, he's not gonna put up too many fights. Gavin still second. Gap at the front, not really changing. Don't know what else to tell you. It's just hovering in the same range and then matching each other. Judge seems to have found some stability in his lap times, but gap to Gavin floating around 9-10 seconds. Not really running away from the judge. He's able to hold on. Just finding some stability in his lap times again. "16 seconds adrift of the podium." If you're the Porsche driver,
Tokyo, of
that's
course,
now 18
34.
seconds adrift, so something's happened at the front and we missed it. Gavin's come into the pits. Judge has been promoted up into second place.
Can he make it
Need to now just
of course, Chad's still to
keep
stop.
an eye now.
His gap big second, if I'm not mistaken.
He's out of the pits already. No, I'm looking at the wrong car. There we go, there's Gavin. He's still in the pits. So, it's a long one.
I'm not sure. I don't think there was any
Second
damages.
Porsche has been promoted.
Probably just fuel, and maybe he's trying to run till the end of his race with that fuel load. Hence the long stop.
So you'll have to go for the next hour, just under an hour. And finally, he's on his way. Still in the pit lane, still has to adhere to that annoying limit. You'll want to get on his way. Luckily, not too many AI getting by. They shouldn't be too badly affected. There we go, he resumes his race in 6th place. The leader still at the front. He hasn't pitted. It's lap 22. Leads by 37 seconds now. Your man in second is the judge. Last man on the podium. 2 Porsches on the podium. Be a good team day for them. You see Nismax just going side by side with an AI, and not sure if that's just things we're seeing on our screen or if that's actual contact.
Not sure.
It looked like a bit of contact there. I wouldn't be too happy if I was leading the race. "34 seconds, that gap was 37 seconds, so that shows the difference it makes. Getting past AI, you can cost you time if they don't make it easy. Gavin obviously worked his way up the field. Had a shunt in the beginning that put him down to 14th after his pit stop. Made it through all the AI, all the human drivers, all except Nismax was in second. I'm riding on board with Gavin, and I almost don't want to say it, but
yeah, he's in the pits again.
Why is he in the pits? Is this a fuel issue?
He made a mistake again on his outlap.
Is this a fuel issue?
Because of the damage, it actually dropped him down to 9th place. That promotes the judge and Toki.
It's not a fuel issue. Sorry, I had to check the fuel just to check. It's not a fuel issue. I don't know what this is all about. But he's back in the pits and he will continue to fall down the order. It's all playing brilliantly into Nismax's hands for the race and the championship. Sure, even Munna would prefer Gavin being up the field to steal as many points away as possible. But no mistakes from Nismax as of yet. Obviously, we have locked the weather conditions as Captain Ice mentioned earlier, so we won't be seeing any surprises. But maybe that's what this race would need right now. Something to mix it up. 37 seconds, your gap at the front. The Bumblebee Porsche.
Judgy. Always under pressure.
$50 seconds still on the clock. Long way to go. Really like the look of this Audi. He's gonna go past. I don't know, every time I look at that car, and if you make it in silver, it's even worse. That's a safety car. Which makes it funny. The safety car is, it's basically a GT3 car, and these guys ride behind that safety car and get on the radio and say, tell the safety car to hurry up, my car's overheating.
But of course, can only go
I promise
that
you
fast.
that safety car is giving it everything. It's not going slowly at all. Max opening the gap a little bit more now. Judge just making a mistake, one or two mistakes. Definitely a big difference on the last lap there, but that's to everyone. On the last lap, Nismax set a 141.6, and the closest time to that I can see on my screen was the Judge, 144.0. So, big difference there between the lap times. Nismax, the fastest man on track at the moment, leading the championship as well as your race. Can anyone stop him? Will his concentration break? But at this point, certainly it doesn't look like it.
Judge actually looking well in control here. Well, I mean Nesmax. It's pretty much, if you look at where the season was, it's always been him. Only difference is we had Moon all this time, but now with him alone, it's just lap by lap, it just keeps growing and growing and growing. But of course, no pressure for him, so there's no real mistakes to be made. So if he just keeps it like this, he's all set.
Another rivalry about this track and Suzuka is obviously Suzuka, owned by very prominent Japanese car manufacturer by the name of Honda. And this circuit is owned by another very prominent Japanese car manufacturer. Toyota. Toyota purchased this track in the year 2000.
Or if
and
you,
it does have a grade 1 license. So obviously F1 can attend.
If you listen to David Coulthard and some of the people in the States, it's not Toyota, it's Toyota. But the way some of them pronounce it, they say Toyota, but T.
Toyota.
Yeah.
Toyota.
It's almost like they would pronounce the name Thai.
Toyota.
It just doesn't sound like Toyota.
Don't get me on those accents. I lived in Pennsylvania, and Pennsylvania is a place where they're convinced Nissan is pronounced Nissan.
Nissan, yes.
And Mazda is pronounced Mazda.
Nissan and Mazda.
I'm just not okay with either one of those. And I used to get laughed at for pronouncing it funny. Meanwhile, I was just getting more angry. I was like, you're all wrong.
Nissan and Mazda. But you know what? If you actually recall Top Gear with Matt LeBlanc, where you actually had it pronounced like that.
Yeah, and he's obviously He's obviously American. That's just there's different pronunciations. And obviously different brands around the world.
Yes.
I mean, when I was in the States, I saw what was very clearly an Opel Corsa. But it was not called an Opel Corsa. Neither was it called a, what's it called in England, a Vauxhall. It wasn't
Yes.
a Vauxhall Corsa either. It was a Saturn Corsa. So cars get spread out amongst the world, but their badges may just change if a particular brand is not very popular in said country. So if Opel doesn't have great sales in the States, they won't bring it in as an Opel. As Max gets by on his, what appears to be his sister car. Didn't notice that guy. Never a good thing in any race. F1, GT3, Le Mans, doesn't matter. But if you get lapped by your teammate, no, it's not his teammate, but getting lapped by someone in the same car as you, the boss is probably going to have word with you. What's Gasly? Doesn't end well.
Good time.
Gasly got lapped once by Verstappen, and look how that worked out. Albon will want to keep Verstappen out of his mirrors.
Always easier said than done.
Albon has shown good promise so far. Remember, this is his debut F1 season, and he's in one of the top 3 teams. Must be absolutely insane. None of the debut drivers can say that. Norris has done a good job in the McLaren, but it's certainly not a top team, and Russell doesn't have much to work with. So Albon definitely got the best deal there. Especially since just over a year ago he was dropped from the Red Bull Academy. So it shows you how things change. Dropped by the Red Bull Academy 4 months before he was hired by Toro Rosso. Does that make any sense?
No.
Not only was he hired by Toro Rosso, he was promoted to Red Bull in the same year. Pretty decent start. Look at this gap at the front. 31 seconds. Something's wrong with my timing screen.
I expect a couple of guys now to come in. Yeah, it's like the time is dropping and it's closing, and yeah, all of a sudden, but yeah, Nesmax is on its way.
Nesmax now emerging from the pits. He's going to have to follow that speed limiter. Where is the judge? There he is. He's going over the start-finish line now. Might just come out in front here. There you go.
No.
There we go.
Traffic, can he make places up again?
We go now. We saw that gap earlier. It was 37 seconds, I believe, between these two before the pit stop. So now I wonder if Nesmax just has a bit of a handful getting past this AI in front of him. Judge may still be able to capitalize a little bit, close the gap a bit. Gap at the moment between first and second is 3.3 seconds. There's not a lot in it. Pit stops definitely brought that gap closer together. Still at the back. Oh, and as I say that, he probably didn't want that on a live stream. But he gets the lights flashed. There we go, he's flashing the lights. Not having the best experience, and then that is that bonnet loose. Oh no, that bonnet's loose. No, that's the bumper. It looks like Pac-Man.
Yes, yes.
Look at that. That looks like Pac-Man.
Chasing the ghost now.
That can't be good.
No.
Probably doesn't sound good either.
We'll have to put again. already at the back, so it's not going to make a real difference for him.
Raptor keeps going, despite the 50-second penalty. Obviously, he doesn't have to worry about any of the AI behind him. They won't pick up points. But if any human drivers are within 50 seconds of him, he will lose that position.
Yep.
Maybe even multiple positions. That's where Gavin could come in. Not quite sure what happened with Gavin. I'd love to ask him what happened there. Made a pit stop, seemed like a lengthy pit stop. And then a lap or two later, came in again. So, not sure what that was all about. Let's ride on board with your unlikely leader. What a race he's having tonight. Led the race into turn 1 after starting in 4th. I think he's allowed to brag about that start for quite some time.
Gavi running into the back of JGB.
Let's just change this camera to trackside so we can get a clearer view of what's going on. I actually think that's Gavin, but that's Gavin a lap behind. And now this is going to be a bit problematic for him because he's able to match Nismax's pace, but they're separated by a lap. So he's going to battle to unlap himself, and he can't just hold Nismax up forever. I've had situations like this in races where, you know, I've just had way too many pit stops and I come out a lap behind, and now I'm behind someone that I'm faster, but it's difficult. There we go, he's past him, but Nismax gets through again because Gavin runs wide, so these two are battling and they're a lap apart. Sure, Gavin wishes he was about 2 minutes up the road. Judge now in the pits. That Porsche is stationary in the pits. Raptor comes over the line. He will get promoted up into 3rd place. Don't forget about that pit stop, that penalty though. Judge's position is safe. Still stationary. Gavin in 8th. Like I say, this is going to be a tricky situation now. How do you proceed without unlapping yourself? And if you do unlap yourself, how do you get away from Nismax? He would have to effectively run away from the leader. Now get some slipstream. Try it up the inside of turn 1. It's been a good corner for passing in the race. Seen a few maneuvers here. Gets it up the inside. Question is, will he hold his line? He does. He's able to hold on to that for now. Will he be getting 2 flags at this point? I think you've played this a little more than I have. Captain Ice.
Yo.
Still there?
No, sorry, I just quickly stepped off my bed. Right. I see now actually, yeah, 3. But yo, Gavin, no, and again, white on one side, come back, white on the other side.
Well, like I say, this is an impossible position.
This is where the fatigue is actually sitting in as well.
But this is effectively an impossible position. These two are matching each other in pace.
But if you look at
the one car is separated a lap behind.
Correct.
But so Gavin can't just sit behind Nismax because he's not going to proceed any further in his race if he just sits there. So he needs to unlap himself, but in order to unlap himself effectively, he needs to run away from the leader of this race. So unless
and the only way to do that is to
Max
stay in
backs off a
front.
little bit,
And unless Max is flashing lights for him, but of course, as much as you want to give away for him, it's like you said, you want to push so he can actually unlap himself and gain some position on track.
he wants to get away. And I'm sure the whole time this is happening, we need to focus on that gap to second place.
Because
Don't forget about second place. That gap is 20 seconds.
20.
And now they're getting stuck behind an AI.
Can that be the lucky break that Gav was looking for? Just to get Nismax to lay off a bit. Not that the AI, the AI is not holding him up too much.
Brushes the AI aside fairly easily. Just have a look at your leader. There we go, he has gotten past.
And yes, that gap now to second is below 18.
That's why I say it's an impossible position. For Gavin in particular. Because the right thing to do is don't impede the leader's race. But honestly at this point he's just trying to get away from him.
And also to do something about for himself.
Being a lap behind the leader isn't going to bring you into the race.
And Nismax is right on him again.
Every now and then he's able to get past, but there's just mistakes every now and then that just puts Nismax on the bumper of that car.
Correct.
And it's obviously going to frustrate the leader at some point. But I understand what Gavin is trying to do.
Probably going to get
and
some
I understand why
here.
It's not working. He actually just came out in a really terrible spot. I think if Gavin was 10 seconds up the road or 10 seconds down the road and they were both effectively in clean air, they'd be having very different races. I think this is just matter of two cars matching each other a lap apart.
I think it looks like Taki might have made a mistake because that gap is actually at the 22-23 second mark.
Ooh, and that AI doing the same thing as previously, gets out of the way of Gavin and then just turned in a bit on Nismax, closed the line a bit.
And now actually fighting him, and yet it's
so maybe some old connections at Renault, just thanking him for stepping out of the Renault and giving someone else a go.
Maybe he's running the Lambo just as a disguise.
He's got the Renault F1 brake setup on there. And Renault have chosen not to appeal. So clearly they knew that there was no point in an appeal. But
and I mean, this is the first time since 2011 after Sauber that both cars of one team gets disqualified from a race.
You know, I know cheating is not a good thing, okay? But if we were going to see cheating in F1, I at least want to see someone win a race that's not supposed to.
Exactly.
Like, you know, if there's cheating, I want to, like, we get to a race and we arrive at free practice 1 and, wait a second, guys, why are the racing points in first and second and clearly faster than everyone else here?
I mean, if they would not be
then you look into it and you find the cheating
yes.
and you're like, there we go. But the sort of cheating that they're talking about, it's... Really? Renault struggles to even be in the points. It's not really a title fighter.
Cheating? Is it that they might have exploited a loophole, or you know? Because while we're talking about cheating, I actually came across a story tonight, which I assume can only be Red Bull or Mercedes, but unknown manufacturer, well, obviously well-known manufacturer, but we don't want to mention the name, has actually approached the FIA and they claiming Ferrari is cheating. Now, it's just like what you say now. If Ferrari is cheating, why are they not winning Merc?
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, a situation like that, like, I understand if it's the team at the top. Okay, if someone were to go to the FIA and say, listen, I know why Merc's much faster.
Correct.
And they've been doing this for years and it's illegal. And I get it. But when it's the big teams reporting the small teams for cheating and it's really not helping them, then it's actually just a bit annoying.
But if you've a strongest team there, you're winning everything. Now you're crying cheating. It's not like these guys are winning and so forth. Why are you worrying about if they're cheating? I mean, it's not costing you anything.
We also forget about the amount of money one championship point is worth. And they might not be fighting for the constructors title, but a lot of those teams have their own battles in the midfield. The Toro Rosso's going up against the Racing Points, and it shouldn't be Renault, but Renault's one of them. I believe Renault should be, at very, very least, the third fastest car in Formula 1. Because there's only 3 manufacturers. Just not performing on the day.
Politics.
Can confirm that Nizmax has picked up a penalty somewhere along the line. So let's just bring up the timing screen just so we can confirm the extent of that penalty. Nothing too bad.
Yeah,
that's more like what I'm used to seeing. A 1 second penalty for Nizmax, so that's definitely not going to cancel out Raptor's penalty. He's going to have to get another 49 of those.
With 29 seconds left, I doubt it. Of course, they're now breaking.
29 seconds to go. These guys would be thrilled. They've still got another 30 minutes to go. They've done 2/3 of the race, 1/3 to go.
I must say again, even despite the 50 seconds, Raptor's actually doing good for his first race. He's actually there. Right up there with the guys.
Doing a good job. We don't know who's on what pit stop strategy, who's on what fuel load. But currently as it stands, Raptor second, Gavin third.
But if you look at the gap, with a penalty of Raptor, Gav will get second. Ooh,
Gavin is third, and Gavin is third, and you can see the leader driving behind him.
It's just so unheard of.
The gap between first and second, call it a lap. I mean, the gap between first and third, you can call it a lap. That is, that's quite impressive. Give him that. Winning by a lap, lapping everyone in the field.
Yeah, of course, now Raptor in a bit of a short space of time. It will be also a minute there.
Devon's still doing a good job in 4th place. He's found himself in worse places during the course of this race. Remember seeing him at the bottom towards the AI as well.
Yes.
So he's managed to get higher up the field. No real threat to Gavin at this point. He's half a minute behind. I wonder if Gavin battling with Nizmax could potentially close that gap. Sixth place now. He's getting lapped by the judge. No, I'm not. That is incorrect. That's for position. Judge is in 7th. And
Toki, of course, in front of him. Toki going wide, just going on the inside. But still, Toki will have a better line.
Really looks like Judge has got a
Judge going on the
good
inside,
feel for
Toki
this
running
track.
wide, and Judge actually gained that position.
Goes up into 6th place. Now his next attempt will not be a human driver, it will be an AI driver. He's 3 seconds up the road. Currently in 6th place. Raptor holding on to 2nd. So he's got that 50-second penalty. She'll put him in 3rd at the moment. So, still not bad.
Not at all.
If he could somehow maintain this race position over the next 25 minutes, could have a very surprising result with an extremely big penalty.
I'm not mistaken.
Right with Chen.
Last time round was also a GTR.
Car showing a lot of damage in the front, and then obviously the livery gives it this scratched look, so it doesn't help. '76 yellow Porsche. Judge has been in that Porsche for a majority of the season. I think he raced something else in one race.
Devon just now need to just keep it steady. That's about what 5 seconds between him and AI being fifth, and then of course on that AI is the judge, so there's not much between him and the judge really. Speaking of which, there is the shot of it. The front of Nismax and B judge. Well, not far apart. Almost looked like, just from that shot there, it almost looked like the judge's helmet matches his car's livery. Just the yellow is that Porsche, so it's yellow, it looks his helmet. Yeah, there's definitely yellow in that helmet.
A little bit of green at the back, but yes, definitely yellow.
Not for yellow and black, that is to a car more like a yellow and green.
Yellow and black now, synonymous with the Renault.
Correct.
I'm so used to seeing Gavin going around in that yellow and black Renault. To desert them on this particular occasion, he's in a yellow and green Lamborghini.
Matching
that car would also suit Judge's helmet.
I was just about to say matching the Judge's helmet. Of course, now only a little over 23 minutes to go. Gap between Nismax and Raptor is over a minute. But of course, if you look at that penalty, Gav is still in that third position at the end of the race. Of course, he thinks we're pretty much same as it is now.
But Connor Young on the YouTube stream, he has been watching. So just want to say thanks for joining us. It's good to see you in the comment section. And he's not going to play any crazy bets because his money's on Dirk. So I think that's the safe bet.
Connor, just want to say some great speed found in really like no time. I mean, from 5 to 4 to all of a sudden a second down. So you found the speed quite quickly. Just build on that, and hopefully, yeah, going forward we see you at this time in the race.
Definitely found a lot of progress through the qualifying session. So he'll be looking to come back next week. Just that little bit more experience than the last time, and every time he comes back with more experience, it's going to be that little bit better. I don't want to say that little bit easier because, yeah, I've had this game for actually quite a long time, and yeah, it's still not easy.
And once you think it's easy, that's actually when you're going to mess up. Nismax, Raptor, Gavin, all now the top 3 with penalties.
Let's just see what is the severity of the penalty. Let's bring up the timing screen just to confirm. Hopefully nothing too serious. Something closer to Nismax's penalty than Raptor's. That's right,
Yeah,
just the
it's
1
the
second
same.
penalty, so nothing too serious. Shouldn't affect his race. What's really going to cost Raptor is that penalty. If he didn't have that penalty, this would be an extremely strong second place considering the circumstances. For a debut.
Nee.
Not a bad debut. Judge down in 5th. He's been able to hold a podium position for most of the race. This is probably lower down than we've been used to seeing him. But he's coming up quick, and he's coming up quick on Devon. Look at that. Goes up the inside almost immediately. A little bit impatient, but I think he's got the speed and he just wants to get by. He wants to get on with this.
Yes. Luckily thought better of it.
Strongest place for him, I would have to say, from what I've seen so far, is that straight. Just wants to get as close to him as he can in the final corner and then down the straight. No need. Gets around him on the inside. A little bit more contact there. He's
Judge runs wide, really wide.
At the Panasonic corner, that's the final corner. Judge runs wide. And he's allowed Devon to go through into 4th, and he's going to have to do that work all over again. Really, if he was listening to me now, I would tell him just be patient, get as close to him as you possibly can, going around the final corner, and that Porsche will put him in the lead. But no need. Goes up the inside again. Devon didn't look like he was going to yield. Went up the... he's run wide. He's on the grass. Has he given the position? Oh, he hasn't. Maintains it for now. Still getting a bit messy. Fighting for 4th. Ooh. Contact again, and that's a wing. That's a wing. That's probably some of the worst damage you could have on this game. That car's going to feel very different. And he's going to really battle to bring that car home. 18 minutes is far too long. He's going to have to come into the pits. That will be disappointing. After a race that has been really good showing. Just a bit too scrappy there between Devon and the judge.
Not anyone who really want to get away from the other one by the looks of it. Like each other's company there.
Obviously that car missing a rear wing.
Well, is that mean...
Judge's reaction, he's coming into the pits.
Yes, he is.
Devon followed him and almost followed him into the pits. Don't know if
unless that was purely just a bluff.
Just trying to get as much slipstream as possible.
But that was a late change of mind. If that wasn't the bluff, that was a very late change of mind.
That was F1, he probably would have got a penalty for crossing the white line. I like how the rear wing just appeared.
Miraculously appeared.
No mechanics needed.
Nah, it just fixes itself. What a relatively long stop.
Positions have now changed. Judge was the leading Porsche for a majority of the race. Now here's your leading Porsche. It's having some bad luck, getting involved in an altercation with Devon, lost his rear wing, and then really had no more fight to give. Just can't control the car under those circumstances. But Devon will have a Porsche in his mirrors shortly. Gavin's still in 3rd. Just needs to keep it there. Doubt he's aware of the penalty that Raptor has.
And how severe, of course.
But if he he's aware of the penalty, then he'll know that all he needs to do is keep this car in a straight line for the next 15 minutes, just keep it on track, don't make mistakes. Hopefully no fuel stops in his future. I think everyone should be done with 15 minutes remaining. Said Devon would have a Porsche in his mirrors shortly. And there we go, he's lost that position. He goes down to 5th. Hopefully he doesn't redesign the rear end of another Porsche. Didn't like the wing concept, got rid of it. Judge now doing his racing down in 13th. The race has dramatically changed. Was your leader, was in 2nd, was in 3rd. Hold some notable positions during the race, but just unfortunately lost his wing and had to make a pit stop late in this race.
We would have jeopardized him badly.
Obviously he will be promoted past all these AI names you see ahead of him. So I think that translates to a 6th place, which isn't it's not too bad. But what could have been
But it is
will
not.
always be on his mind. Like I say, forget about it. Nothing you can do about that.
Just now under 14 minutes to go.
So Gavin on debut for Lamborghini may get a podium. Does that mean see him in a Lamborghini next week?
I believe he would if he's happy with the setup of his car.
If he gets a podium, I just don't see him going back to a Renault. There we go, gets past the AI nice and easily. Good looking livery on that Merc, by the way. Very patriotic. Yeah, I thought I was going to make it to the end of the race, but I really need a glass of cold drink. So try pick a car, so I could leave it on that camera for just a minute or two.
No, go for it.
Any car that you'd like to watch?
Let's get back to the front a bit. There we go. I don't care which is what, this still stays one of my favorite cars. Not because Nismax is driving it, but being an Audi fan, nice livery, and of course nice car. And he's actually showing what that Audi can do. Of course, 1 minute 17 to Raptor. Gavin and Raptor still staying close to each other, but the gap not really shrinking between the two. Pretty much at the 3-second mark. Of course, Toki quite some distance behind them there in 4th at the moment, with Devon on him in 5th. Of course, Judge actually, it was basically a race of 2 halves for Judge. Started the race well, of course. We'll remember the first 2 laps battling with Nismax. Twice overtook him on the inside into the first corner. And he actually ran strongly after as well. I mean, 3rd place, 4th place at what stage, but now with that stop he made, rear wing and stuff replaced, all the damage repaired, all of a sudden he's now down to 12th. The race completely went pear-shaped for him. And he also now have a time penalty. course, from position 6 to 11th is all AI.
Okay, that's better.
No, so a Hartwest, of course, everybody in South Africa will know we are experiencing a heat wave, and like I just said, tonight there's another one on its way, so these mid-50s is not going to subside.
One man that's used to this
is the guy we're watching. And the judge.
Yeah, well, Nizmax, obviously, he's up in Qatar, so he's in the desert, in the Middle East. And then the judge, he obviously comes from a small town in Limpopo called Tsenin.
And they do get high temperatures there.
They really bake there. But earlier on, I was doing some time trial in F1, and it was just really, really hot. My hands were like just sweating uncontrollably on the wheel, and I actually went and washed my hands and then had a look at my phone, and I realized I'd never seen this in Joburg actually. It was 34 degrees in Johannesburg at 7 o'clock. It's extremely hot.
I mean, this morning on my way to work, now you're talking about before 7 o'clock in the morning. I mean, that time of morning you're already sitting at 21, 22 degrees.
You're over on the West Rand, and heard it can be a degree or two warmer than us. Obviously Pretoria always slightly hotter.
Yeah, of course, we're going towards the north, which is pretty much on the way to Zanin. The further north, the hotter it gets.
Obviously, and then Pietermaritzburg's always hotter than Durban, and that's because of the fact that it's in a bowl.
Of course,
it's actually in a bowl. Heat can't escape, basically.
That's it.
So it's always 2 degrees hotter than Durban.
But so of course, if you go to a place called, well, Bombas, now Bella Bella, same story there. If you look at where it's located and how it's in, again, it's also a story about that heat not escaping.
Yeah.
And we lost the driver.
Wouldn't like to be in any of those towns.
Looks like Chen also, yeah, Chen is out.
Chen is out. Means we just got 13 runners if you include the AI. If you're just counting the human drivers, we have 6 runners left in this race. Top 5 human drivers. Judge down in 11th after a race that, in Johan's words, a race that went pear-shaped.
Pretty much a race of 2 halves, yeah. I mean, if you look at what his race was like in the beginning versus now.
You know, I don't even think it's fair to call it a race of 2 halves. I'd say he had it for the first 2/3 of the race. It really all happened in that last half an hour. He just...
But of course it's...
and then obviously the final mistake wasn't really his fault. It was racing. And the damage was too much. Otherwise he'd still be up there in 6th place, battling Devon for 5th.
Of course, with his heat as well, also another factor is humidity. And, you know, that actually also takes its toll on you. Yeah, it's just a silly old game, people may say. But still, you also get tired. It also affects your concentration.
Definitely. I mean, another thing about where Judge is actually living that's quite weird is it's also in a dip, so heat doesn't escape. But it's given it a tropical feel.
Yes.
So when you're in that town, it feels like you turn this corner any moment, you're gonna see the beach.
Correct.
But you're nowhere near the ocean. You're about 400-500 km from the ocean.
You're in a complete different direction.
Basically, all the plants that grow at the ocean grow in that town. It's just got a simulated coastal environment, and it even gets the humidity that Durban experiences, like that really crazy humidity. I know Joburgers get a bit of humidity for 2 days.
And then of course another thing about that place as well, you would think, well, nice and hot, so it's actually the place to be in winter. Unfortunately not. As warm as it can be in summer, as cold it can be in winter.
Yeah, that is something that you experience a lot here in South Africa. When I was in the States, States also has it, you know, the interior of the States as well as Australia, like in the outback. You know, these big open areas,
Yes.
they can get very hot. But like I say, like with these towns that are in a dip, it's because the heat can't escape. So now when you're in a big open area, the heat just dissipates. So sometimes you just have extremely cold mornings. I mean, have you ever been in Van Rieens in summer at like 5 in the morning? It's cold. It's really cold.
And fun enough, anything on the Free State, but borderline KZN where they border. If
Yeah.
you actually there early mornings it feels like it's winter. Yet when you sit in the
Yeah.
afternoon, it's like summer, you're baking. So that's actually confusing. Like all the different seasons in one day.
No, definitely. South Africa actually makes up a very big area, and we've got several climates within our borders. In Cape Town with its European climate, which makes no sense. It's actually called Mediterranean climate, and Durban with a tropical climate, Joburg with a climate. It's dry. That's pretty much it.
And while we're playing Weathermen here, Gaff did actually pass Raptor. But if you're looking at the
Nice.
Gaff, it can be that Raptor actually stopped. Because he's some distance away from Gaff.
So with just under 5 minutes remaining on your clock, almost 4 to be exact, we're now getting to the ending stages of round 7. Nismax leads this race as he has for a very, very long time.
Can't say from lap 1 thanks to the judge.
Can't say from turn 1, can't say from lap 1. Judge passed him into turn 1 and held his own through that first lap. Gavin in second, but that gap is it tells the story. And I think we're missing Munna. I think he could have given Nismax a go today. That gap at the front, 1 minute and 20 seconds. Sounds really weird, so.
No, it's just a altered position. If you're brave, you think you can make it, then obviously pass somebody, otherwise alter position, get that points.
I believe Raptor's going to lose that third place if the race were to end right now. I think the gap between third and fourth is 50 seconds. And that penalty is 50. So he's going to lose his podium place, and he could
be fourth.
Potentially lose fifth.
Devon, yes.
Yeah, you could lose Devon as well. So if things were to remain the same, if Devon can maintain his pace, he can get promoted to fourth. Won't help the judge too much, but he will obviously jump all this AI anyway. We'll get 6th place. I think he should get bonus points for that start.
Quite a brilliant start.
And you know, not only did he go from 4th to 1st, more importantly, he didn't exactly hit people on the way. Did it pretty well. A minute and 50 seconds remaining.
No, of course.
A lap around here, minute 40. So, could be a lap to go. This could be the final lap. If, depends when Nismax started the lap, I suppose. Let's ride with your leader. Coming up behind Devon. So luck the man who's currently in 5th. It's out of the way. There we go, just 1 minute remaining on your clock. Where is he on track? Is he going to start another lap?
Yeah.
I mean, with that gap, he could literally stop on circuit and wait for the time to run out. Wouldn't have to do another lap. Gavin still in second. Raptor still in third, but as we mentioned, the penalty is going to... What's going on there?
Going very slow.
I think he's run out of fuel on his way into the pits. He's run out of fuel on his way into the pits.
And he's not going to make it into the pits.
We all know
going to be
that
wrapped out.
That's the end of it. In this game, that's the end of it. We just managed to catch that by chance.
And Raptor's out.
On the stream.
Raptor's gone. He retired.
Raptor has retired. He's given up a potential 4th or 5th place. So Judge will still be able to salvage some points out of this. Brings it home now. It will be in 5th. We are now on the final lap.
No, race is gone. That's it.
That's
you get enough.
Race complete. Lap
Well
53. That was a long race actually, 53 laps.
There's also the length of a track. Only, what, 1 minute 40... Yeah.
I think he's going to be the only guy to actually be classified by crossing the finish line.
Because the other guys are too far down from him.
I think everyone else is either going to finish a lap behind or that timer is going to cut them off.
Yes. Because only like 78 seconds left.
What can you say about round 7? It's been...
One-way traffic.
Didn't end with any highlights or any fireworks, but definitely started with fireworks. Judge qualified in 4th, got up into 1st in turn 1, held his position and did well. There were mistakes all around the field from Gavin, an early shunt. Toki went off a couple of times, as well as Devon found himself at the back. Connor Young, he had issues with connection, I presume. And even Gavin, he's in 2nd, and we forget that he had that mysterious 2nd pit stop. Where could he have been without that pit stop? Still comes out in 2nd, 50 seconds behind, but where could he have been without that 2nd pit stop? Really want to ask him what that was about. There we go, just your results. Just to read your results before they disappear off the screen. Nismax wins from Gavin, Toki in 3rd. Then you've got Devon 4th. Bunch of AI. You're going to have Judge in 9th. He's going to be promoted up to 5th, obviously. And then, for some reason, Chen classified in 13th. There we go, another win for Nismax. He's going to extend his lead in the championship. Good result for Gavin. And, that's that. That's round 7.
Gavin
was going to hand it over to Captain Nice so he can say his goodbyes. Thank you very much. It's been a good one.
Yeah, we didn't get the competition we wanted to see, just to keep Nismax honest in front. But we had a few stints with the Judge early on, where Gav was there a little bit. Then Gav got his 2nd place, just keep his championship hopes alive. Of course, anything can happen. Disconnect or power failures, and yeah, that can cost Nismax. And of course, hopefully next time round we got Muna back. So with that, guys, thanks so much for watching. Of course, next week we'll do the same. We might just be slightly different, but I'm sure we will put something together. Of course, next round we will be at Watkins Glen. Till then, stay safe. If you race safe, take care, and of course keep the people around you in mind and do not drive like an idiot. Till then, cheerio.
Cheers, guys.